Welcome everyone to Starlit Stories. Tonight we are honored to present a tale titled The Skinless Cat, the Resentful Spirit on the Desolate Mound. This story is inspired by Vietnamese ghost legends. We hope you will join us in listening to discover more about the chilling folklore of Vietnam. Now, let us begin. It was a gloomy night in the 7th lunar month, the month of wandering souls, in the year of the snake. The night had already drifted past midnight. Outside, the rain wasn't heavy, but persistent and mournful, accompanied by a biting wind that blew in gusts. The dirt road running past the house of Madame Hoi Dong Chun, formerly Ba Ba Liu, usually sparsely populated, was now completely deserted and desolate in this stormy night. Amidst the sound of rain and wind, only the croaking of frogs echoed intermittently. A gloomy, mournful atmosphere enveloped the large house. Inside the main bedroom, an oil lamp hanging at the head of the bed flickered, casting the Madame's shadow on the wall, twisting like a demonic figure with every turn of her body. Madame Chun had always been a sound sleeper, but for the past 3 days she had been restless. Every time she closed her eyes, she started awake, thinking she saw a white shadow flitting past the window. Her chest felt heavy, as if an invisible hand were crushing it. Tonight was no different. Her throat was dry, her body heavy as stone. A cold draft blew through a crack in the wall, making the lamp flame dance as if about to die out. Suddenly, a noise made her jump. Madame Chun sat up, staring into the dim corner near the mahogany wardrobe. There, a white figure sat huddled. Madame Chun's eyes widened in terror, her heart pounding. The figure resembled a cat, but it had no fur. Its body was a layer of raw red flesh, pulsating and smoking as if alive. "Heavens!" she gasped hoarsely. The cat slowly turned around. Under the weak lamplight, its eyes glowed red, filled with a burning resentment. Its smoke-stained mouth opened, emitting a screeching sound that pierced the brain. Madame Chun fell back, trying to flee, but her body was paralyzed. The cat crept closer, its claws scratching horribly against the floor. "Get out! Get away!" she trembled, but her voice was swallowed by the thick silence. The cat reached the bed, stared at her with a piercing, cold gaze, and suddenly slashed the silk blanket, tearing it apart. "I did it for this family," she stammered, her mouth distorted in fear. The ghost cat growled, its head twisting backwards, peeling off layers of flesh. From its bloody mouth, a white mist formed a cradle. Inside, the cry of a baby mixed with the screech of a cat. The cat grew larger, the size of a human, and pounced on her chest, suffocating her. As its bloody tongue licked her cheek and it let out a supernatural laugh, the lamp went out, plunging Madame Chun into a torture of darkness.
The story traces back to a brighter time in Dui village, formerly Lang Phong Thai. Madame Hoi Dong Tran was the matriarch of a wealthy family. Her husband had passed away in his sleep 10 years prior, leaving her to manage the estate, which flourished under her iron hand. 5 years ago, she organized a lavish wedding for her only son. The house was a grand 5-room structure with yin-yang tiles and dragon-carved pillars. The wedding was the talk of the region. The bride was a poor but gentle girl who lived with her elderly mother. Madame Tran approved of her docile nature. However, Madame Tran had a deeper desire, a grandson to continue the lineage. Half a year passed with no news of a pregnancy. During this time, she became obsessed with moving her late husband's grave. A feng shui master named Tai Ba, formerly Tai Vien, from Mount Thum Sern, advised her. Tai Ba warned her, "Do not move the grave this month. The dragon vein is shifting. If you disturb it now, the bones will be unsettled and the living will face disaster, illness, financial loss, or death. Madame Tran argued that her husband appeared in her dreams, complaining about lying in a desolate field. The master insisted, "Wait until the winter solstice. And remember, do not go near the grave right now. Metal and slaughter are surrounding it. Approaching it will bring harm." Before she left, Tai Ba gave a cryptic final warning. Avoid letting the smell of blood defile your residence. Soon, a creature with spirituality will come to protect you. Madame Tran agreed, but felt uneasy. However, on her husband's death anniversary, she ignored the warning and went to the grave in the desolate field to clear the grass. As she prayed, a massive snake, thick as a human arm with black scales and red eyes, shot out from the bushes. It lunged at her. Just as the snake was about to bite her neck, a black shadow shot out like an arrow. It was a large black cat with glowing green eyes. The cat fought the snake fiercely, eventually killing it with a bite to the neck. The cat then stood calmly, its savage demeanor replaced by a gentle one. It rubbed against Madame Tran's leg. Remembering the master's words about a spiritual protector, she brought the cat home, named it Cow Den, or Little Black, and treated it like royalty. For 2 years, the cat was her constant companion, sleeping by her feet and guarding the altar. It seemed to understand human speech and brought a sense of peace to the household.
Eventually, the daughter-in-law became pregnant, bringing immense joy. But as the delivery date approached, she became weak and sickly. Madame Tran remembered an old superstition in Dwai village. If a woman is weak during pregnancy, she must consume soup of return, gang hoing wen, made from a spiritual animal in the house to ensure the mother and child survive. Torn between gratitude for the cat that saved her life and the survival of her family lineage, Madame Tran made a cruel choice. "For the legacy of the Tran family, I cannot be sentimental," she whispered to her husband's altar. The black cat looked at her and let out a long, cold cry. One stormy night, Madame Tran ordered her trusted steward, Old Man Bai, formerly Lao Hun, to prepare a knife and a copper pot. "It is time for the black cat to sacrifice itself." Old Man Bai trapped the cat. As Madame Tran watched coldly, the servant hung it up. The cat screamed, a sound like a crying child. They skinned it alive to preserve the freshness for the soup. The cat stared at Madame Tran with its dying, wide-open eyes until the final moment. The soup was made. Madame Tran forced her daughter-in-law to drink the foul-smelling broth. Miraculously, the pain subsided and she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Madame Tran felt satisfied, believing she had secured her family's future. She had the cat's bones placed in a wooden box and locked in a storehouse at the back of the garden, setting up a small secret altar to honor its sacrifice. 3 years of peace followed. The grandson grew up healthy, but on the 3rd Lunar New Year, strange things began to happen. On the 3rd night of Tet, while the rest of the family went to the pagoda, Madame Tran was alone. From the locked storehouse, noises emerged, the sound of bones rattling. A cold wind blew out the lights. A servant named Mun, formerly Lua, ran in, terrified. "Madame, there's a ghost on the roof," Mun cried. "It has no skin, it's red, raw flesh, walking with a cane, and it has the head of a cat." Other servants confirmed hearing giggling and scratching sounds. Madame Tran tried to maintain order, but deep down she was terrified. The next day, a neighbor named Chu Tom, formerly Thung Thing, came to report seeing a skinless red figure standing by Madame Tran's bedroom window, staring inside.
Terrified, Madame Tron went to the locked storehouse. The dust on the floor was disturbed, with cat fur scattered about, and scratch marks were etched into the brick floor as if something had dug its way up from hell. That night, the sounds of scratching and digging returned, closer and louder. The next morning, horror struck. The steward, Old Man Bai, was found dead in the hayloft. He had been skinned. His raw, red body lay on the ground, his face frozen in a scream of ultimate agony. Madness began to consume Madame Tron. A few days later, she received a gift from a friend. When she opened the package, instead of silk, she saw the bloody, skinless body of the black cat. She screamed and threw it down, but when others looked, it was just a fur coat. She began to hallucinate, seeing the skinless cat walking on two legs, holding a baby's skull.
Driven by the haunting cries of a cat and a baby, Madame Tron walked like a puppet in the middle of the night to the locked storehouse. She opened the door. A wave of resentment hit her. On the altar, atop the wooden box, a black shadow sat waving at her. The doors slammed shut, trapping her in the darkness with the screeching cat. The next morning, the servants found Madame Huidong Tron dead in the storehouse. Her mouth was stuffed full of black cat fur, the same fur as the cat she had once cherished and then brutally betrayed.
Thank you very much, dear listeners, for tuning in. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next stories.